Tonight, Bulldogs bombshell. Josh Addo-Carr returns a second positive cocaine test. Chilling new details from a girl who survived a Monterey street race that killed two brothers. Extra services, earlier starts and later finishes. Major changes coming to the metro. A giant leap for space tourism as a civilian spacewalks into history. And finals fever kicks off in Penrith as the Panthers say farewell to their stadium in a blockbuster against the Roosters.
This is 9 News with Georgie Gardner.
Good evening. In a shock development to the Josh Addo-Carr drug scandal, the Bulldog star has tonight agreed to pay a fine for testing positive to cocaine. But Addo-Carr still denies he knowingly took the drug as he fights to save his career at Canterbury.
Judgment day for Josh Addo-Carr.
Is this just a mix-up or...?
No comment, my brother. No comment, bro. No comment.
But police had much to say. A second test confirming he had cocaine in his system when he was pulled over at Wentworth Point a week ago. The results came back today. An infringement notice for the offence of drive motor vehicle with illicit drugs present. Late this afternoon, Addo-Carr, through his lawyer, dropped another bombshell in this case.
Despite the fact that Josh maintains that he has never knowingly ingested any illegal drugs, he has decided to pay the infringement and bring this matter to an end legally.
He's agreed to pay a $682 fine, and it's likely his licence will be suspended for 3 months, but he will not have a criminal record. This morning, his coach was unaware police had moved so quickly.
Yeah, he's good. He came back to training on Wednesday, had a good day, and he's just all about helping the team now.
The flying winger back at Belmore for just 2 days after standing himself down from finals footy.
He's put the team first and the club first, and we appreciate that.
The Bulldogs have backed their star throughout.
Firmly denies taking drugs. Firmly denies taking drugs.
And that support is continuing for now. The club is offering Josh appropriate support. Josh's welfare is our highest priority. But after today's stunning development, Addo-Carr's biggest crime may well be that he lied to the club, an offence which could see his contract with the Bulldogs ripped up.
He'll be paying the fine and moving on.
Damien Ryan, 9 News.
Massilia Ali is at Belmore for us. Massilia, what are his teammates doing tonight?
Georgie, the rest of the Bulldogs team have spent much of the afternoon here at the club in Belmore. Now, Josh himself was also here until he received that phone call from his lawyer. The team are right now in a closed training session ahead of their clash with Manly on Sunday. But their coach earlier today said that this distraction will not shake or deter from their motivation or their focus. Georgie.
Massilia Ali, thank you. Disturbing new details tonight from a 9-year-old girl who survived an alleged street race at Monterey in Sydney's south. It came as a passenger involved in the crash, which killed two brothers, today avoided a jail sentence.
An alleged street race at Monterey that saw two brothers, just 9 and 10 years old, killed. This grey Audi allegedly fleeing the passenger Raquel Borg.
Raquel, why did you keep quiet?
The former Bondi real estate agent charged after withholding information from police. A court today hearing of a police-intercepted conversation between Borg and the driver Adam Uren after the deadly crash. "I'm red hot. Did you see that thing I sent you?" "I know. Yep. Yeah, I think it's over." "I don't know. We just got to see." Uren pleading not guilty to all 9 of his charges, including 2 counts of aggravated dangerous driving occasioning death. Borg pleading guilty. The 27-year-old today handed a 2-year community corrections order.
Raquel, would you like to apologise?
Meanwhile, chilling new details about that Friday night in August last year from a 9-year-old girl who survived the crash, Jimmy Martin Brito, her driver. The agreed facts of the case revealing the little girl told police the car had been racing. It was going too fast, and he revved its engine like it said it wants to race. Phone videos from one of the boys killed played to the court today, revealing Brito's Subaru was travelling more than 140 kilometres an hour at one point in an 80 zone. The girl telling police she felt scared and nervous as Brito went faster and faster.
Jimmy Martin Brito has pleaded guilty to his charges, including 2 counts of manslaughter by criminal negligence. The 34-year-old's case returns to court in 2 weeks' time. Hayley Francis, 9 News.
The Metro has transformed Sydney, giving thousands a fast new way of commuting. And tonight we can exclusively reveal its timetables are expanding on the back of its success.
The honeymoon period is closing, but Sydney's love affair with the Metro is still running at full steam.
Every 5 days, 1 million passengers are tapping on and off.
And the training wheels are ready to come off.
Because of that incredible success, we are now seeing services run later into the night and more frequently during the day.
9 News can reveal that from Monday, almost 50 extra services will be added between Sydenham and Chatswood, extending the timetable past midnight during the week and until 1:24am on Friday and Saturday nights, as well as extra trains during the lunch rush, now every 5 minutes instead of 7, between 10 and 3.
People are pushing to have more Metro on the weekends as well. Is that a possibility?
At the moment, we're running 10-minute intervals. We'll keep watching to see if we need to provide more services for the people of Sydney.
We're always reviewing how the passengers are using the services, which ones are busy, how well they're being used. So we'll be constantly reviewing how the service is performing.
As for the technical report card, there have been some minor hiccups on the platforms, but the trains have run almost seamlessly, 99% on time over the last 4 weeks. Coming soon to the southwest, where commuters will be shifted onto buses for at least a year while the T3 line is converted to Metro.
In the end, it will be worth it because the people of Canterbury, Bankstown and the southwest will have services every 4 minutes.
Sophie Upcroft, 9 News.
The state government has pledged more than $38 million towards a new campaign to stop domestic violence before it starts.
It's a significant day for victim survivors, their families, the people that know them and the community.
This strategy today helps us frame up our efforts in prevention so that we are not leaving communities behind.
The program will be rolled out across community groups, schools, sports clubs and workplaces. A slow speed bump between a truck and a tram has had an impact on commuters, traffic and even small business. All the light rail driver could do was apologise as the hustle and bustle of Haymarket ground to a halt.
It almost appears in slow motion, this tram colliding into a truck on the corner of Pitt and Hay Streets, a diversion for dozens of Dulwich Hill line commuters, barely making it out of Central just before 7am.
Always something, eh?
The tram driver even apologising.
Sorry guys, we didn't think that this morning.
The truck has it looked kind of like it was just rolling, wasn't going real fast, rolled through, tram didn't have time to stop, banged into him, then he's banged into the pole after that. Looked like brake failure or a medical episode or something.
People were late, people were not really knowing what to do.
The collision derailing the tram, as well as lunch preparations at newly opened restaurant Ennui.
What has this meant for getting produce in the doors today?
It's been really difficult. We've had to call all of our suppliers and work out other ways of getting around the police kind of roadblocks.
It'll now be an intricate operation to get the tram back to the depot to fully survey the extent of the damage and get this part of the network back online.
Thankfully, no one's been seriously harmed.
In Haymarket, Madison Scott, 9 News.
Traffic was backed up for 20 kilometres around 6 o'clock this morning from Silverwater to Minchinbury as police conducted an operation. The M4 at Marylands was closed both directions between Burnett Street and the Cumberland Highway, reopening again after 2 hours. A car fire has stopped traffic at North Rocks in Sydney's northwest. One person was treated while crews took half an hour to bring the emergency on Renown Road under control. A person has escaped from their burning home in Wollongong's north. The Thurul property went up in flames just before 1 this afternoon, with large parts of the roof caving in. Banks and the big telcos have agreed to a major crackdown on scammers who use bogus texts, fake videos and false claims. But there are already signs the federal government might have trouble convincing social media companies to cooperate.
They're the scourge of modern life, invading your phone, your social media feed, sometimes your peace of mind. Scams pilfering $2.7 billion from Australian pockets every year.
Every one of those dollars has got a tragic story behind it.
The federal government to introduce tough new obligations on companies to combat shonks and shysters.
New obligations on all of them to ensure that they're preventing, disrupting, reporting and taking the fight up to scammers.
Under mandatory codes of conduct, banks will have to confirm the ID of payees before transferring funds. Telcos expected to step up protections against scam messages and calls, and social media platforms required to verify advertisers. Failure would risk fines of up to $50 million.
For the first time, real clarity about who is liable when a customer loses money.
Banks backing the new complaints mechanism, saying it'll benefit scam victims.
It is likely to see more reimbursement to customers.
Scams are a really big issue for Australians. They're even a cost of living issue, ironically, because when you haven't got any money to spare, you don't have any money to lose.
But with more and more scams emanating from social media, the biggest challenge might be bringing the tech giants to heel. Billionaire Elon Musk using his platform X to call the Australian government fascists for its crackdown on misinformation.
Elon Musk's had more positions on free speech than the Kama Sutra. He is the champion of free speech, and when he doesn't like it, he is, he's going to shut it all down.
Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is heading overseas to join the leaders of the United States, India and Japan for the 4th Quad Summit next week. The White House announced today it will be hosted by Joe Biden in Delaware and focus on issues in the Indo-Pacific region, including security, natural disaster response and climate. Israel has bombed a United Nations school in central Gaza, killing 18 people, 6 of whom were aid workers. Around 12,000 people were sheltering there when it came under attack. The UN Secretary-General labelling it a dramatic violation of international humanitarian law. Vladimir Putin has issued an ominous warning to the US and NATO, saying they'll be at war with Moscow if Ukraine uses Western-made long-range missiles inside Russian territory. Hours later, Russia revoked the accreditation of 6 British diplomats, accusing them of spying. Donald Trump has ruled out facing off with Kamala Harris again and insists he won the first debate. But the Vice President's performance was clearly well received. Her campaign reeled in millions of donations after it aired.
We had a monumental victory over Comrade Kamala Harris in the presidential debate.
Not backing down from declaring he won, but backing out of another round.
Because we've done 2 debates and because they were successful, there will be no 3rd debate.
Kamala Harris.
Just 48 hours ago, Harris and Trump met for the very first time, the prosecutor taking on the convicted felon. Tonight, President 45 declaring one and done.
I'm not surprised that he wouldn't want to do another debate. I don't think there's much to be gained for him in another debate.
I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate.
The 24 hours after the debate, a gold rush for the Harris campaign. Almost $70 million raised in the largest burst of funding for the Vice President since she entered the race. And there's been a surge in people registering to vote. Vote.gov revealing some 400,000 people clicked on Taylor Swift's link after she endorsed Harris. The pop star turning things political again as she accepted the top gong at the Video Music Awards.
The fact that this is a fan-voted award and you voted for this, I appreciate it so much. And if you are over 18, please register to vote for something else that's very important coming up. The 2024 presidential election.
This election and what is at stake could not be more important.
In the United States, Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
A major traffic pinch point in Sydney's northwest is set to ease, with designs unveiled today for the expansion of Epping Bridge. But the project will cause more disruption over the next 5 years before drivers see the benefits.
It's the toll-free thoroughfare for the northwest, but the congestion on Epping Bridge has locals choosing to pay instead.
I often take the M4 just to skip this piece of road.
I just get stuck in the middle, like for maybe 5 or 10 minutes without the traffic moving.
The state and federal government hoping to make bumper-to-bumper traffic a thing of the past, today unveiling designs for a $220 million expansion.
This project really will be a game changer.
Early works now are already underway. That will really take us through till the first quarter of next year.
Over the following 5 years, the overpass will expand to include an additional westbound lane and southbound lane onto Blacksland Road. A shared pedestrian and cycle path will also be added, featuring safety guards.
Separating those from the traffic, making it safer, but also encouraging that active transport.
The works will put our transport system to the test, taking place over the metro and rail line.
This will be a disruptive project as it unfolds in construction. There's no way around that.
Epping's population is forecast to grow by 25% over the next 2 decades. This long called for expansion, a plan to future-proof the area. Once complete, it's set to shave 8 minutes off the afternoon commute. At Epping, Erin Ramsey, 9 News.
Tonight is the final stand for an iconic piece of Penrith. The football stadium that's been loved by Panthers fans for 57 years will host its final game before a major redevelopment. The home side looking to go out winners against the Roosters.
Panthers fans out in force, ready for a finals party. And a farewell, as the people of Penrith prepare to say goodbye to a place that has brought them so much joy.
It's sort of sad in some ways because it's been an institution for so long.
The home of the Panthers since 1967, Penrith Park has undergone a few upgrades, but never a major makeover quite like this. A $309 million rebuild will deliver a brand new 25,000-seat stadium to Sydney's west.
It's exciting for the Penrith city itself because there'll be a lot of other sports played there. There'll be big concerts brought there as well. It's a benefit to everybody, not only the Penrith players.
His name, one of 4 famous Panthers, inscribed on the current Eastern Grandstand. When they bring this place down, are you going to go up there and say, hang on, I want my name in my room?
Mate, I would. I'm only 5'8". I don't think I'll reach it.
1991 Premiership hero Roy Simmons reflecting on what this patch of Penrith grass means to him.
The amount of games I've had to play here. I actually was the groundsman here for a while, so that's what it means to me. Some of my greatest times have been here on this park.
The Panthers confident, almost 2 years away from their home ground, won't dint their dynasty.
The future's bright, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of success in the new stadium as we had in the old stadium.
Well, the Panthers are confident they will still be fighting for premierships in 2026. Tonight, they can take a huge stride towards winning a 4th straight title. The Panthers and Roosters both arriving a short time ago ahead of their sold-out showdown, where all eyes will be on Nathan Cleary as the Prince of Penrith returns from his serious shoulder injury. Georgie, what a way to kick off this year's NRL final series. The fans, well, they are pumped. We're in for an epic battle between East and West.
Good luck getting out of there, Zach. Thank you. It is time now for a check of the day's weather. Hi, Kate.
Good evening, Georgie. It was a mostly sunny day with brisk southerly winds. We did see some showers move through last night, but they cleared early after a mild night. The city warmed up to 20 degrees, 21 in our west. It was pretty smoky in our southwest this afternoon due to a hazard reduction burn at Lansdowne Reserve. Expect to see and smell more smoke over the weekend with burns planned for Lansdowne and Hornsby. It'll be a chilly weekend with a polar air mass sweeping across the southeast. I'll have the forecast after sport. Georgie.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Kate. In the news ahead, arrests in Rosemeadow, Ambervale, Ayres and Campbelltown. Police swoop across Sydney's southwest. A family affair at Tumbalong Park. We welcome home our Olympians. Also tonight, the Penrith plant thief caught in the act. And a view money can buy, the daring endeavour hundreds of kilometres above Earth. Five people have been arrested in Campbelltown, Rosemeadow, Ambervale and Aids as police target crime in our southwest. The men and women aged 18 to 44 are accused of a range of drug and firearms supply charges. 2 loaded handguns, $40,000 cash and drugs were found during a single traffic stop. Penrith residents have been left scratching their heads after a plant thief was caught on CCTV. This video, posted on a Facebook community group, shows the culprit swiping 2 shrubs from a front lawn on Sunday. Others in the area have reported similar thefts. We followed their success in Paris from our living rooms, and today we had the chance to rub shoulders with them. Tumbalong Park was buzzing with fans excited to give our Olympic and Paralympic heroes a homecoming to remember.
A record-breaking heist in Paris, and today it was time to show off some of the loot.
And guess what? That is a silver medal. Have you touched it yet?
Yeah, I have. It's amazing. Medals and memories.
Did you just love those games?
Oh, it was such a great 5 weeks away, yeah. It's good to be back, but I'm still missing those croissants in the morning.
A nation had cheered from their lounge rooms. Today, it was time to get up close.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3.
Happy snaps with their heroes.
How much fun is this?
It's incredible. I'm speechless. I brought a tear to my eye.
It was a sunny day in Sydney, a welcome home as we continue to bask in the glow of Paris gold.
Could you feel it? Did you know that the whole country was behind you and cheering you on?
I definitely felt it. I couldn't hear it from Australia, but I could hear it from my mum and my dad.
There were so many highlights. Our water polo women, the Stingers, knocked over a superpower, the USA, on the way to winning silver. And with a mum in the team, they had a secret weapon.
This is our number 14th player. She's our biggest cheerleader, our biggest mascot.
Our heroes are drawn from all over the country, and it's an opportunity for the nation to say welcome home. Sydney today, Brisbane, Perth and Melbourne tomorrow, Adelaide, Darwin later next week.
A victory lap to inspire the next generation of Olympians, and it's a party that has only just begun.
Do you want to be an Olympian?
Oh, yes! Yes, I do, 100%.
What sport?
Rowing.
Rowing? There you go. See ya in 2032.
Damien Ryan, 9 News.
Coming up on 9 News, cemented to the back of a car, the bizarre lengths this protester went to. See how it ended next. We'll bring you an exclusive first look at the new high school planned for our northwest. Finance editor Chris Kohler tells us how to save thousands ahead of the aged care overhaul. And what you need to know about do-it-yourself blood pressure tests. A photographer has lost part of his ear after being shot with a rubber bullet, and a woman has used concrete to attach herself to a car in Melbourne. Those were some of the scenes today as anti-war protesters demonstrated during the final day of the city's Weapons Expo. Victoria Police have labelled the group's conduct this week as appalling. A looming shake-up of the aged care sector has many industry leaders concerned. They fear an already stretched system could face more pressure if there's a rush to get in before prices increase.
A once-in-a-generation overhaul of the aged care sector is underway, but some industry leaders are worried what it'll cost.
One thing's for sure, Australians will pay more for residential aged care in the future, whether they can afford it or not.
Lou Pascuzzi runs TLC Healthcare. He says residents are already money conscious and asking for reduced rates.
1 out of every 3 residents we're having to do that for now.
The sector is floundering, with close to 2/3 of aged care operators running at a loss, and a new 574-page federal plan seeks to fix it, in part by means testing Australians entering aged care, putting more of the cost burden on residents who can afford it.
This is an incredibly important piece of work.
National Seniors CEO Chris Grice says with millions of people heading for residential care in the next 2 decades, the sector needs to be strong and wait times need to come down.
Whatever can be done to make that happen, that's a good outcome.
For older Australians, though, there's a lot to think about fast. The clock is now ticking. Anyone receiving aged care before June 30 next year will be locked into the old and, for many, cheaper system. That leaves just over 9 months to consider options because getting in before that deadline could mean saving thousands.
I think there'll be an influx now. Anyone that was sort of thinking about whether they'd enter residential aged care or whether they were ready to enter residential aged care, a significant number of people that will make that move now.
Chris Kohler, 9 News.
It's home to thousands of young families and growing, but for years residents at Schofields have been waiting for a high school. The government today revealed to 9 News when and where it will be built, along with more schools in the pipeline for our booming northwest.
An empty field in the middle of 2 growing suburbs, soon to be a new heart of learning.
We're actually putting in infrastructure where it should have been put in years and years ago.
The government announcing today that 4 hectares of land on Gunterwong Road, Tallawong, will be the site of the new Schofields High School. Once built, the facility will have 50 classrooms catering for 1,000 local students, reducing pressure on neighbouring schools exploding with enrolments.
Riverbank Public School was built for around about 800 students, and this year it enrolled 2,100.
More and more people are buying around here because of the metro. It's important that kids get to go to school close to where they live.
In the past decade, the population of Schofields has tripled. This is the area from 2016, and this is how it looks today.
Kids having a school that they can just, walk to, and it just puts your mind at ease.
A government audit has revealed this part of the northwest has the fastest growing student population in the state. The school's set to be built here in Schofields, one of a number in the region to be fast-tracked. Construction of new primary and high schools at Malonba has begun, while plans have been released for new schools at Tallawong and Narimba Fields.
This is a record $3.6 billion investment.
Construction will begin on the new Schofields High School next year, with kids in the classroom at the start of 2027. In Tallawong, Elizabeth Bryan, 9 News.
Health experts want people checking their blood pressure at home to brush up on the correct technique. Doctors warning patients about false readings which could waste time and money. The advice is to sit comfortably, avoid caffeine and nicotine, and make sure the cuff is just above the elbow crease. It was one small step for this man, but one giant leap for space tourism. A starry-eyed tech billionaire has emerged from a SpaceX capsule and become the first civilian to ever walk in space.
Making history 740 kilometres above Earth.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
A view not many get. Tech billionaire Jared Isaacman, the first civilian to spacewalk.
Up, down, left and right are 3.
The 41-year-old financed this entire flight for an undisclosed sum. His venture into the vacuum was followed by SpaceX engineer Sarah Gillis.
All right, stepping into test matrix 1 for single-handed mobility.
Really cool to see one of our own out there. That's awesome.
The astronauts were tethered to the capsule and held bars, testing the newest spacewalk suit in 40 years, orbiting at speeds of 30,000 kilometres an hour.
Forward, back, I am inducing a bit of a roll.
Their preparation involved breathing pure oxygen to prevent getting the bends. Each had about 8 minutes in space, but it's critical time.
They needed to test all the equipment. So this was like a little successful glimpse of the future that we're building for ourselves.
There is a crew of 4 on board this SpaceX Polaris Dawn mission, which has gone deeper into space than any since the Apollo program that landed man on the moon.
We show the same nice job for everyone and everyone at SpaceX who made it possible.
Elon Musk wants to send people to Mars. NASA says this is a giant leap. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Ahead in 9 News, the shock link between chronic sinus infections and mental health conditions. Why you should look beyond the usual places to get the best deal for your pet. And in sport, James, the finals are here and they kick off in style.
Hello, Georgie. Yes, the Panthers continue that quest for 4 straight premierships, while the Roosters, well, they're no strangers to finals footy, and adding to the star power here tonight, the return of Nathan Cleary. Brad Fittler is a legend of both clubs and joins us to preview the clash next. It's no ordinary game. The Seagulls' game plan to take down the under-siege Bulldogs on Sunday. Plus, can Nicho Hynes deliver on the big stage as the Sharks tackle the Storm?
Temperatures are set to plummet this weekend with a polar blast arriving in the city. I'll let you know how cold it will get shortly.
Well, what a way to kick off the finals. 2 September specialists, the Panthers and the Roosters, playing off for a huge prize, a place in a grand final qualifier. Brad Fittler joins us now. Evening to you, Bradley.
Hey, James.
You're at your old home patch here tonight, and Nathan Cleary, he's back for the reigning premiers.
Spoke to Nathan earlier. He's ready. He knows it's going to be physical. I think his biggest job tonight is to get their clunkiness out. He needs to find some rhythm in their attack, and that's going to be his big job tonight.
All right, there'll be one man really aiming him up, and that's Angus Crichton. He's been on a mission this season, and he'll have him in his sights, won't he?
Yeah, he's been incredible, and poor old Nathan, he's just going to be like a sitting duck. The big player tonight is going to be Liam Martin. There's his State of Origin second row partner. If he has a big game, he'll be opposite Angus, so he needs to apply his own pressure and help Nathan out.
You play for both these teams?
It's a tough one, and I get to sit on the fence, James.
All right, you enjoy it there, mate. See you there. We'll get some splinters together. Thank you, Bradley. See him sidelined shortly. Now, the Bulldogs, well, they're confident their finals campaign won't be derailed by Josh Addo-Carr's positive drug test. Coach Cameron Ciraldo piling pressure on the Seagulls ahead of Sunday's knockout match, saying Manly should have finished higher on the ladder.
That finals feeling is blowing through Belmore once again. Blue and white pride on display, an 8-year wait coming to an end.
It's been a long time for our fans, and we're really excited about giving them the opportunity.
Those fans are hoping the pressure of the occasion isn't making players nervous. 2 weeks ago, Canterbury had the best defence in the NRL, but in back-to-back losses heading into the playoffs, they conceded 78 points.
Well, our attack has to help our defence too. We've just given up way too much possession. It's 2 games out of a whole season. We've had another 22 games where I've been ecstatic with our defence.
One of those defeats came against Sunday's opponents. Cameron Ciraldo believes Manly has underachieved this year.
Oh, they're a class team. Probably should be ahead of where they are, really. They've got an Australian halfback and one of the best fullbacks in the game.
That fullback returns from injury this week. Not that Ciraldo was aware of it.
Do you plan on testing out Tom Trbojević's shoulder?
Oh, he's injured, is he? Yeah. Haven't thought too much about it, to be honest.
Trbojević hasn't tested out his AC joint with contact training, but has had a practice run with a pain-killing injection, which he'll need again on Sunday.
You guys are reading too much into this. We've had multiple players play with a similar injury this year.
The Seagulls are back in the semis for the first time since 2021 and are embracing the occasion. They'll head into camp at Sydney Olympic Park tomorrow, holding their captain's run at Addo-Carr stadium.
We want this to be like a big game. It's not just a normal game.
Luke Dovesey, 9 News.
Cronulla coach Craig Fitzgibbon is adamant Nicho Hynes can take the team deep into the finals, despite question marks over his form in big games. The Sharks halfback has even drawn support from opposition coach Craig Bellamy ahead of tomorrow's qualifying final against the Storm.
For everything Nicho Hynes has achieved in the NRL, many believe he's yet to deliver on the big stage.
He might not have yet, that's not to say he can't in the future. I think he's won us plenty of games as well. They seem to be forgotten.
Fitzgibbon knows it'll take far more than just a fit and firing Nicho to beat Melbourne.
Going to a game pinning your hopes on one player, that's if that's the narrative, that's the narrative. But we've got to play like a team. We need a team performance. We're playing against the Melbourne Storm down here.
Nicho's former coach Craig Bellamy has also jumped to his defence this week.
It's probably you guys that sort of put the pump on him. I wouldn't think if he wasn't playing well, he wouldn't be in their team, So at the end of the day, I'd much rather have Nicho Hynes in your team than not, he's a special player, special guy, and, hope he's a little bit off tomorrow.
The Sharks fell in straight sets in the last two final series. Fitzgibbon adamant 2024 is a different story.
The last 2 years we've sort of come in, probably almost limped into the finals. Players in, players out. This year we've got a bit of energy about us.
And a huge blow for the Sharks this afternoon. Jesse Ramian ruled out with an ankle injury. Emma Lawrence, 9 News.
The West Tigers NRLW losing streak is finally over, defeating the Dragons 16-14 in their last game of the season. It's their first win in 14 starts, stretching back to round 2 of the 2023 season. They almost threw it away, the Dragons scoring 3 tries in the second half, only to fall 2 points short. It was all smiles for the Swans today, training before a big crowd of fans on their week off ahead of the AFL preliminary finals. But players couldn't ignore the heartbreak for captain Callum Mills, ruled out of the match after tearing his hamstring.
To be injured for majority of the year, come back, get injured again, and then obviously to miss a final on the weekend, next weekend is shattering, and we've gotten around him.
The Swans will face either Port Adelaide or Hawthorn next Friday, while the Giants will fight for a spot in the Final Four against the Lions tomorrow night. And Australia's men's tennis stars have continued their outstanding form, clean sweeping the Czech Republic 3-0 in their Davis Cup tie. Thanasi Kokkinakis claiming a hard-fought win in the singles before Matty Ebden and Max Purcell made light work of the doubles fixture, placing the Aussies in prime position to qualify for the Davis Cup finals. Georgie, that's it for now, but we cannot wait for this one. Coverage beginning from 7 p.m, the Roosters and the Panthers for a spot in the prelim.
Exciting times. James Bracey, thank you. In the news ahead, Nicole Kidman's message of appreciation. Also, the link between chronic sinus infections and anxiety. And why you should think outside the box to pay for your pets.
This time last year, Woolworths and Coles were the top 2 most trusted Australian brands, according to Roy Morgan Research. This year, they're down the bottom. These are Australia's least trusted brands. Optus still in the bottom spot, with Qantas and Meta close behind, but the big supermarkets are now nipping at their heels. And this is the other end of the scale, our most trusted brands. Bunnings at the top, followed by Aldi and Kmart. So still dominated by big retailers, but not the supermarkets anymore. Trust is important for customers, but profits are the main thing when it comes to shareholders, and it was a positive day on the market today. A rebound by the miners really making that possible. And the Australian dollar heads into the weekend buying 67 US cents and 60 euro cents. Finally, further afield, the European Central Bank cut interest rates last night, and the US Federal Reserve is expected to do the same thing next week. But the latest comments from the RBA show it's still a while away from doing that here.
Thank you, Chris. If a hardware store isn't the first place you think of to buy your pet supplies, you'd be forgiven. But consumers are now being urged to look further afield to avoid paying top dollar for everything from treats to treatment.
We saw pet ownership spike during COVID, but now it's the cost of owning a pet that's rising.
It's certainly an extra expense that you have to factor in.
Now Compare the Market's uncovered some price differences, including this popular dog treat, just $5 at Petstock compared to $24 from Coles.
5 times more expensive one retailer versus another, that's really significant.
This bulk buy dry cat food costing $50 at Big W is almost double that at Woolworths. Clumping cat litter products range from just over 80 cents to as much as $2.60 per kilo, depending on where you shop. While puppy pads are 4 times cheaper at Kmart and Bunnings compared to a dedicated pet store, proving it can pay to look outside the box for other budget players.
Don't just think, oh, supermarket trolley, yeah, let's load it in. There might be some really big savings over the year that you could add up just by stretching those eyes a little further.
When it comes to flea and worming, instead of buying an all-in-one treatment, purchasing them separately could actually save you around $9 if you use the products monthly.
It all does really add up.
Especially extra costs like pet insurance, with the least and most expensive quotes for a domestic short-haired cat having a $42 per month discrepancy, while the cheapest policy for a Staffordshire Bull Terrier was almost 3 times more affordable than the dearest, which could make over $1,000 difference in a year.
There is a real potential to recoup some cost.
Kate Lamb, 9 News.
Researchers have discovered a persistent sinus infection could be linked to mental health. As Sophie Walsh explains, the revelation could open up a new pathway for treatment of anxiety and depression.
American researchers studied more than 5,500 patients who were suffering chronic sinusitis. It's an infection that lasts for 12 weeks or longer, where the spaces inside the nose and head become inflamed, causing headaches and breathing issues. The study, published today, found people battling the condition are more than 4 times more likely to have anxiety and 2 times more likely to have depression. Researchers found it goes the other way too. People with anxiety or depression have an increased risk of developing a long-running sinus infection. It's hoped by finding the link between the 3 conditions, new treatment options could be found too.
More than 5 years after it was devastated by fire, Notre Dame finally has its voice back. 8 bells have been returned to the French cathedral ahead of its reopening in early December. It was hoped the 12th century structure would be restored before the Paris Olympics, but the scale and complexity of the project pushed out the completion date. Nicole Kidman has posted a message of appreciation after the death of her mother. Kidman wrote, "Every message we have received from those who loved and admired our mother has meant more to us than we will ever be able to express." Janelle Kidman died last Saturday, aged 84. Coming up, Kate with the weekend weather.
Hello again. You might need to get out an extra blanket with a much cooler night expected across our suburb tonight. Right now in the city, it is 14 degrees, 15 in our west. Your weekend forecast is next. It was a mostly sunny day with fresh southerly winds, which had us grabbing an extra layer as we headed out the door this morning. The cold front that swept through last night bringing us some strong winds, gusts of up to 89 kilometres an hour recorded at Botany Bay. Despite the cool winds, temperatures were close to average, reaching 20 degrees in the city, Liverpool and Campbelltown, 19 in Parramatta and in Kellyville. Tomorrow, a strong cold front will drag a polar air mass across southeastern Australia, bringing possible snow, icy winds, rain, hail and storms. Temperatures are set to plummet across parts of Tasmania, Victoria, SA, New South Wales and the ACT. Brisbane will be partly cloudy, 23 degrees. Early morning frost and afternoon showers forecast for Canberra, 18. Melbourne is set to shiver, a high of just 12 expected. It will be wet too and even colder in Hobart. It'll be southern New South Wales that'll feel that cold blast first. Temperatures dropping to near 0 tonight. -2 forecast for Cooma and -1 at Bathurst. Showers and westerly winds whipping up tomorrow with a strong marine wind warning for much of the coastline, including Sydney. Here in Sydney, we are expecting a sunny start to the day. However, showers are possible later in the afternoon, mostly along our coastal fringe. After an overnight low of 10, the city is expected to reach 24 degrees, which is still a few degrees above average for September. It'll be a cool start across our suburbs. It's expected to drop to 3 degrees in Campbelltown overnight, warming up to 24, 25 at Penrith and in Blacktown, 22 in Terry Hills and Cronulla. It's Sunday when we'll really start to feel the chill. We could even see some showers at the start of the starting line on the Sydney Marathon on Sunday, 17 degrees, mostly sunny as we head back to work on Monday, 19, 21 on Tuesday. The temperature climbing back into the mid-20s by midweek. There is the chance of a shower in our west on Sunday. It could be quite windy to a top of 18 degrees. The sun making a comeback on Monday with some more spring-like temperatures on the way later in the week, Georgie.
It looks that way. Thanks for that, Kate. And that is 9 News for this Friday. I'm Georgie Gardner. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy your evening. Good night.